Because all of our cylinder blocks and a lot of the fittings and attachments are alloy, if you get someone that's not familiar with how tight a bolt should be, very easy to strip threads out and damage things. So all of our workshop manuals have a torque chart in them that gives you a torque range. So what happens if the guys are doing a job like this one, they'll print out the relevant sections of the workshop manual. You've got safety instructions on the bike, you've got drive chain adjustment. In here you've got tyre sizes and tyre pressures. They're the basic things that you point out to the apprentices first. You wouldn't start a first year apprentice straight on rebuilding an engine. You'd get them on building motorcycles, adjusting chains. There's a lot of numeracy involved there, but they've also got access to company and external email through their computer, so they communicate with the outside world as such. That blue motorcycle with the engine out of it, that's a customer's unit that the dealer couldn't repair. So these guys will repair it, and then they've got to write a full report on what they did. It's more metric these days. I mean, since I think 1975, they started changing everything over to metric. And these days pretty much everything is metric for welding, cutting and for heating. This is to show that your bottle's full and it drops down accordingly. So if you have your oxygen set up here on the heat section, the pressure behind it is going to be way too much for the welding section. This is the technical information DVD that we supply to all of our dealers, and the guys here all have access to it. And basically it covers the whole range of product from 1995 through to current. Service bulletins that are applicable to particular products, general information and training information, so they can go in there and they can access training from 1995 right through. So they can look at the service manual, the setup manual, or just a maintenance chart. You've got troubleshooting. So they can go in there and say, okay, the engine doesn't start. So this will say, well, what you need to do, okay, so you inspect the spark plugs, do a spark test, do a fuel pump inspection, fuel injection system, and for each of those they need to go to a different section. In the general information you've got maintenance schedules, flat rate times manuals, where if you're doing a job, you go into the flat rate time manual or the parts list and it will tell you how much time the factory suggests you need to do that particular job. Each one of those is a job card, and the guys will go in and they set them up themselves. So if we go to that one, for instance, so they've got to go in and they've got to put the VIN number in and the type of job, the account number that it's going to, comments on what needs to be done, and then a description of what was done. And then they've got to find the part numbers in the electronic parts catalogue, then key them in here. Then once that's done, the workshop supervisor releases the parts order. So they'll write the details up on here and they'll put it in the shelf, so when they come back to it they can go, oh yeah, that's what I was doing with that one. Or if something happens and they don't come in, somebody else can look at it. If these guys transcribe a VIN number wrong and give it to me and I register the motorcycle, the customer is effectively riding an unregistered motorcycle because the numbers don't match. Gear ratios are a big thing. These guys need to be able to work out what impact it would have changing a front sprocket or a rear sprocket, what sort of change that'll make in the ratio, the drive ratio, and what effect it'll have on the bike, whether it'll give it a higher top speed but poorer performance or vice